Did you know that Ashes of Creation is technically playable today? In today's video, we're going to be showcasing what it looks like today and whether or not it's worth playing. The goal of this video is to really highlight how Ashes of Creation looks today. And again, this is currently in the alpha phase. The last phase of the alpha actually starts on May 1st, so it honestly is a perfect time for people to jump in case they're interested in learning quite a bit more. But before I give you more info on that, let's take a closer look at what it actually looks like. As you can tell, there's already a handful of open world boss fights, such as this Firebrand dragon fight, which honestly is a lot of fun. And each server does seem to have quite a large community, which makes things even more interesting. So let's go ahead and just take a closer look at what other types of gameplay is currently existing in the alpha. First things first, let's take a closer look at what the game actually looks like. Right now, I'm in the desert biome, which you can see very sandy. You can see structures from a distance, lots of mountains. Overall, super cool. As you travel across the land of Vera, you're going to see tons and tons of different things, even bodies of water like rivers, lakes, oceans, which you can now swim directly into, which is pretty cool. You can jump in. Underwater, you're going to see a handful of different types of consumables and gatherables just to make things a little bit more unique. Plus, there is a pretty in-depth mount system. You can actually get water mounts, which allow you to breathe underwater, allowing you to just explore a little bit more in depth to get some more of those rare consumables. Speaking of water, in a recent patch, they launched the fact that you can actually now purchase and build your own boat, which allows you to jump on with a handful of friends, explore the open seas, and even battle other ships that you may come across just to plunder, pick up some more loot, and have some more PvP fun. Now, it truly is a open world experience in the land of Vera, which is essentially the name of the world in Ashes of Creation, and there's just so much customization and exploration that you can do already in just the alpha stage of this game. So much of this will change, but the fact that it's so customizable is pretty nice too. You can actually change your overall layout any way you want. I can change my health bar to move it in the center if I wanted to. You can change your mini map. You can add on certain features, which is nice. A lot of games today don't actually have this option. So the fact that you can really make it your own, I mean, hey, who can argue with that? If we keep exploring a little bit further, I do want to call out the fact that this is kind of what the world looks like today in Alpha 2, Phase 2. And every few weeks, it tends to expand further and further and further. And it's honestly insane at how large this world map is. Just to show you what the end result is, this is what the full vision is currently of how the world will look like. And only a portion of that left continent is out today, and it already seems like a huge world, so I'm super excited about what's next. The overall class system in Ashes of Creation is both complex and beautiful, in my opinion, and that's because there's essentially a combination of 64 different options when it comes to your class. While creating a character, you can choose one of 8 primary archetypes, which you can see on the left side there, and then at level 25, you can choose a secondary archetype to really make your character pretty unique. So your secondary archetype you can switch as many times as you'd like, but essentially it provides a unique flair to your skills of your primary class. So for example, if I'm a ranger and at level 25, I want to sprinkle in some cleric abilities or just a cleric's flair to my skills, I will essentially be known as a soul bow class, which will alternate and kind of twist my ranger abilities to have some healing functionality towards it, such as the cleric class. So again, your primary archetype class that you choose upon character creation cannot change, but at level 25, you will have the ability to choose a secondary class to really twist up and make your skills a little bit more unique on the battlefield. These secondary archetypes are still in development, so do not expect to see these right away. I believe that both the tank and cleric secondary archetypes are first on the list, so we'll likely see a lot more of that down the road. Now let's take a closer look at what these actual archetypes look like. First off, we've got the Bard, which essentially uses the power of music to not only support allies, but also dish off major damage. Speaking of support, we also have a Cleric, which has the power to even revive dead characters, which is a huge game changer. If you are in a party, you are going to basically be everyone's best friend if you are a Cleric. Plus, it's pretty nice because Clerics can actually deal damage to enemies as well. Next up, we have, of course, the Fighter. The Fighter has a combination of single target and AoE abilities where you can just dish off a ton of just different bleed abilities and self sustain with both health and mana regeneration. And of course, we can't forget about mages. You guys have insane burst damage and a plethora of elemental spells that you can dish off tons of AoE and single target damage with. And of course, we have the typical ranger, where you can not only camouflage with the environment to get a little bit closer, but also have a handful of skills to create more of a gap between your enemies so you can take out your bow and really dish off some major damage. Also, we cannot forget about everyone's favorite ally in every team, which is the tank. With the tank, you have a handful of unique abilities to support yourself and your allies defensively, and also have tons and tons of unique abilities for you to sustain tons of damage and stay alive. Last but not least, I want to call out the Rogue, which is the newest addition to Ashes of Creation. The Rogue has tons of unique mobility skills, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. You can basically turn invisible whenever you want. You can use dual daggers to dish off tons and tons of damage very, very quickly. And it sounds like people are having a lot of fun with this one. I do want to call out there is an eighth archetype coming to the game known as Summoner, where you'll be able to summon creatures to dish off damage and take down enemies for you. Again, that is coming down the road, but we will likely see it over the next few months. Now, when you take all of those classes with all of those unique skills and abilities and throw them in the battlefield, you get the Ashes of Creation PvP experience. Now, this footage is slightly outdated now, but it gives you a good idea of how hectic and insanely cool this overall PvP experience is. There are tons of different modes of PvP. You can have 8v8s, 1v1s, open world combat at any time of the game itself, huge guild wars, node wars, siege wars, a little bit of everything. If anything sparked your interest so far, I highly recommend just creating an account on the Ashes of Creation website to follow along and learn a little bit more and do your own research. Click that link in the top right corner. You can create an account. I'm not saying go ahead and purchase any keys, but at least start exploring a little bit more. If you do want to purchase a key, it's $100 to join the next phase of the alpha, which starts on May 1st. If you want to join today, you can grab that phase 2 key for $110. I don't recommend going hard because everyone likely is going to start on a new server on May 1st. But if you want to just jump in, start learning a little bit more, go ahead and grab that extra $10 worth of a key and start playing today. But enough of that, let's go ahead and jump into some more specifics to show you what this game really has to offer. One of my favorite things about Ashes of Creation is the complex mount system. Through the animal husbandry profession, you can actually tame mounts, use them yourself, or trade them with other players. And as you can tell, there are a ton of different mounts out there, even flying mounts. If you are a mayor of a major node, you can actually get your own flying mount. However, keep in mind that there's only a small amount of mayors that will exist in a game at any point. So there likely will not be many flying mounts in general, maybe like 10 to 20 on a server. So it will be a rare occasion if you actually see one of them. However, it is pretty cool. Again, this is some pretty outdated footage, but it does a good job of showing you what kind of PvP experiences you'll see when it comes to overall flying mounts and just other classes all combining into one huge battlefield. But enough of that. I just wanted to kind of showcase to what type of mounts are currently in the game today. So what I did is I jumped on the alpha and just rode my mount directly into one of the popular towns. And you can tell, there's a horse, there's a wolf, there's some anteater looking thing there. I see like a chicken bird, a scorpion, a lion, an alligator. There's tons and tons of mounts, and it seems like every few weeks, new territories are unlocked, which means new mobs and new potential tameable mounts to just tame yourself, try them out as mounts, and have fun with them. The overall crafting and processing and gathering system is also very, very complex. It's nice because, unlike other games, kind of like New World, you can just get a best in slot item by killing a random mob. But in this game, if you want to have the best possible gear, you're going to have to get it crafted, which means you're going to have to work with other players likely. Just to kind of showcase how the gathering system looks as well, I'm cutting down a tree here. I'm going to get a certain type of rarity from this tree type, which I can then use to process into goods, sell to other players, or use to craft like armor, weapons, jewelry, things like that. As you travel across the land, you're going to see tons and tons of different types of gatherables, whether it's different types of trees or ores or herbs, or even going fishing for different types of fish. As you gather them, of course, you'll be able to get a random rarity of it, which then determines the overall quality of that resource, which turns into higher quality goods and just a higher price tag in case you want to sell it. But again, this is still early on and lots of changes will be coming to the gathering system. But I did want to kind of show you what it kind of looks like today. When it comes to the overall skill system, you can see that as you progress your character and gain more levels, you'll have more skill points to choose and select certain skills. Every skill is unique to the archetype you select and are very, very unique. So you can actually set up a ton of different types of combos, go ahead and go in dork mode and really kind of test out what works best for you. It gets a little bit more complex too because every weapon you use has its own skill tree that has certain passives and benefits as well. As a fighter, for example, I can have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. Every class, it's the same way. You can have a ranged weapon and some sort of melee weapon as well. So I do want to kind of call out too that you can just really customize it and make it your own when it comes to battling. I'm going to be showcasing a handful of some of the different skills that a fighter, for example, has. And a lot of them are pretty cool looking. Again, I've got a bow. I'll swap over to my bow, go back to my greatsword, and lots of AoE moves even, depending on the archetype you're on. And a lot of people just have fun playing around and testing out different combos and what works best for them when it comes to just overall PvE and PvP content. Some of these are super cool because there's like huge explosions or lots of mobility, lots of gap closing, lots of leaps and jumps, kind of like that too. But again, it's a perfect chance to kind of learn a little bit more about what your options are. And if you're trying to get a little bit sweaty in a new MMO, then I do recommend picking up like the alpha key just to test out and learn a little bit more about what you can do so you're ready for day one. And again, the point of this video was to highlight what the game looks like today, give you a quick overview of what to expect if you do jump in and purchase that key. And whether or not Ashes of Creation is worth playing is entirely based on what you're looking for. If you are looking for a complete game with no bugs, then I do not recommend purchasing the alpha key and playing at this point. Maybe just wait a few months, wait until the beta comes out, or even wait until launch if you really want a complete game. Yes, it is a $100 price tag to jump into Phase 3, which some people may think is too much, but again, it's based on a person-by-person basis. If you are someone that likes to really test things and get a little sweaty and learn a little bit more about certain combos or items or locations to grind and things like that, then I do recommend getting this alpha key. Again, if Ashes of Creation is a game that you plan on playing long term, then it's worth being part of this process and helping the development team on making the game the best way it could possibly be. Again, this game is likely at least 2 years away, right? But when you buy this alpha key, you will have complete access to play the game until it launches. So yes, it's $100, but if you do the math, it's probably like under $10 a month if you really figure it out. You buy the key and you can just keep playing until the game actually launches, which is hours and hours of fun. I already have over 500 hours of gameplay in this and I have a blast. So if you ask me, Yeah, I think it's worth it because I've been playing it. I've definitely got my money's worth already, and I'm excited to keep playing as the game continues to develop. If you want to learn more about Ashes of Creation, go ahead and create an account on their website. I've got a link in the pinned comments below. But again, keep exploring. If you just want to learn more about the game a little bit, just like and subscribe to this channel as well, and you'll get some more updates as more and more news comes out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.